Okay, we got an A750F. That would be A760F. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to loosen the 7/8 right here. You don't need to take it all the way off. You just need to loosen it. $12mm on the bolt. 12mm on your pump. (9/16) on your bell housing. There's Loctite on these bottom two. There's also Loctite on these 217s. $10mm on your speed sensor and your electrical connector. And for those of you, I don't know if you can see it over there, there are some valve bodies that are stacked on top of each other. I've had comments before about how pissy people getting about it. Those are not good valve bodies. Those are bad valve bodies. They're just cores. I could care less if they get broke. Go ahead and push your neutral switch off. People get butthurt about the stupidest things. 9/16 on your tail housing. No need to take this out, but if you wanted to, there's snap ring. There's a oil slinger, a bearing in here. Just check and make sure that your bearing is turning nice and free and doesn't feel rough. And then there's a seal on this side. There's no need to take any of that out to change that seal. $10mm on the pan. 10 millimeters on your filter. $10mm on all your valve body. Temperature sensors right here. On your harness, these solenoids right here, you're going to have to pry up on it just a little bit. If you pry too much, it will crack where this lock goes, so be careful when you do it. Then on these, there's a little tab you push in right there, right at the base of it. These two are like these other two up here. Alright, pull your linkage off. Cooler check valve and spring. Set that off to the side so you don't lose any of it. And then there's 3 flat seals and 3 tube seals right here. Accumulator and inner and outer spring here. Keep your springs with your accumulators. Inner and outer spring on this one. Single spring on this one. And single spring on this one. 10 millimeters on your spark. Pull your guide off, pull your linkage down, and then you can, there's a little certain spot you get it in, and then you can get that off. You got to get it out of those 2 notches right there. Pull it up, spring, pivot pin, and park pawl. There is no need to take any of this out. If you want to take it out, this sleeve right here, you have to turn it back to where this notch is lined up with the roll pin. Drive your roll pin through this retainer, and then it'll all come out. Throw that retainer away, you don't need it. You can get in here and you can pop your drum and your pump out. There's a race here and here. I zip tie most of this together. I keep the certain bearing, these bearings here I can leave loose, but when I start getting back into the back end, each section I'll zip tie those bearings together. You can figure it out, it ain't that difficult, but it just makes it quicker. 30 torques on the pump. I would get in the habit of marking everything. Check your surface here, make sure it's not all eat up. Your surface in here where your sealing rings go, I've never seen one eat up, but you're going to want to check that. Go ahead and mark your pump gears. Hopefully nobody's been into it. Probably not, because it looks like they're right. We've got the dot facing down on the inner gear and the dot facing up on the outer gear. That's the way it should be. Drum will come out. There's a couple different ways to do this. You're going to need most of this assembled to make it easier when you push this down to get this snap ring out. You can get it out, but it just makes it harder. Return spring. And up here, I usually have this in a hole in the table. Hopefully this will come flying apart. Pull that snap ring off. Go ahead and mark your sprag. We're turning clockwise, locking counterclockwise. So mark it so you know. Washer here. This washer will not come in the kit. So if it's busted, you're gonna have to come up with one. And getting them to come up with washers can be fun on some of these. They don't like to do it. We got a cushion spring on top. The disc goes up. And then our pressure plate and steels and clutches, they look pretty decent shape. You have a bearing goes here, a washer goes here. I would be very, very careful with these, especially after they get hot. And a washer there. I have another sprag assembly and a bearing here. So we are turning clockwise, locking counterclockwise. And there's a washer in here. Bearing here. I would replace all your pistons, all your molded pistons, not your aluminum ones. 2 snap rings here. And a little burnt. Compress it down, pop your snap ring out, your balance piston, return spring and piston. Little glazed. Little glazed. Alright, same thing on this one. You get snap ring, compress it down. Got your snap ring, your balance piston, other piston, this drum, and then this slides out of that drum. Alright, opening of our snap ring is at 6 o'clock. From here back, it's just like all the other trannies of the Toyota's 6-speeds that you're going to run into, and that we've done videos on. A little bit glazed there. Cushion plate with the dish down. Snap rings, openings at 6 o'clock. Bevel up on your snap ring. Alright, you have to be very careful about bringing this out. You're going to have to come out really even, or it's going to get caught. And especially if you have any planetaries that come apart, it may get stuck in there. So you want to come very straight. Alright, mark the side up on your sprag so you know which way it goes. The support, push your return spring down. You can do this by hand. Just push the spring down, start working your snap ring out. Return spring, piston, and the housing. Have another washer here. This bushing on this planet here is always worn out and walking out. You see how it's up. It's not even in the oiling groove anymore. You can see how severely worn that is. The only way to get this bushing right now is to buy a bushing kit. So you might as well replace all your bushings. You have a 3-piece bearing here and a washer. Usually all this stuff is in good shape. I have yet to see one that's come apart. Got a bearing and race here. Got a race here. Your sun gear here. Set of clutches. Little glazed. The snap ring is at the 9 o'clock position. You're going to have to push in on that return spring just a little bit. And then just start working your snap ring out. Your return spring. And your piston and your housing. Alright, our snap ring is at the 6 o'clock position. Pressure plate. Fairly burnt. Alright, opening of our snap rings about the 4 o'clock position. And sometimes it's easier to get in here. From over here. Pop it kind of out of position and get it started. And then go back over there and get it out. Just leave something in here pushing on it. This one here can be a little bit hard to get out. Here, I think we got it started. especially this last little part. It really likes to hang on. Finally. Same way on this last one. It's in here. It'll come out fairly straight. Reverse brake assembly here. Make sure that it's holding. You have 3-piece bearing here. And our shaft. And if you're not careful, it'll turn on you in there and get stuck. Alright, a little glazed. We got a bearing here and a race on the back of our case. Our planet, and there's a bearing inside here. Alright, looking good. Last piston that's in the case, you can either do it in the foot press. I just do it here. I get a screwdriver and push down on it, and I get another screwdriver on the snap ring and just start pushing it off, and it'll pop out of there. Your return spring, shoot air into the hole in the back of your case, back here, and piston will come out. Okie dokie. Guess we'll see you on the rebuild. These are pretty much always the same. The valve bodies are worn out, so put a zip kit in the valve body. Usually the SLT and the SR, sometimes the S4 solenoids need to be replaced. LS kit, which is a kit with clutches. Actually, this one's going to get a kit with pistons also, so make sure you get all your rubber molded pistons, which I think there's only 2 in this one, and filter, bushing kit, torque converter, and that's pretty much it on this one. We'll see you on the rebuild.